All right, so I guess we're here today. This will be the first time we spoke to the media since we've been inside of court with Mr. House, and we're providing an update with regards to the situation and everything that's going on at this point in time.
Before Mr. King provides an update on the case, we would like to begin by stating very clearly that Mr. House, that Justin House, is not a monster. Mr. House has been a law-abiding citizen for as long as he can remember. Mr. House has no prior engagement with any type of law enforcement. Mr. House has no prior record with the criminal justice system whatsoever. Mr. House is a father. Mr. House is a local businessman and regularly gives back to the community and operates in the community with his business. Now, when Mr. House was completely compliant with the police, when they were asking him questions, and when Mr. House understood that the police had a warrant out for his arrest, he turned himself in. And now I'd like to give it over to Mr. King so he can provide you guys an update on the case.
Yeah, so as you all know, we turned Mr. House in months ago. Since then, we were fighting adamantly for his release because he was being held on the $2 million bond. We were successful in that battle, and Mr. House's bond was reduced, and we have him out so that he can answer to these allegations from outside in the community where he belongs. While we were at the preliminary examination, a lot of evidence came out, and it's pretty much public information, right? So this incident obviously occurred because Mr. House had his car stolen from him and then encountered the individuals who took it at a later time. The individuals who had stolen the car crashed into a witness, and that witness testified at the preliminary exam. And that witness told the judge and the community during his testimony that all of the juveniles that got out of the car that was stolen from Mr. House were armed. And this was seconds before the shooting that occurred. Mr. House has been getting an outcry from the community since they found out what happened. He's been getting a tremendous amount of support. Since this has occurred, I've been receiving emails and phone calls from people in the community telling me that this community has had a rash of incidents where juveniles, armed juveniles, have been stealing cars and getting found with firearms thereafter. In fact, the community has also provided us social media videos and pictures and posts of the decedent in this case and his friends showing firearms and making videos and taking pictures with firearms on all types of social media. And the community has also backed Mr. House with support financially so that he was able to make a bond and come out here and answer these allegations from the community and not from in jail. As Ms. Farad said, Mr. House has been completely compliant with the police while he was speaking with the police during his interview. And again, this all came out at the preliminary exam, so it's public information. During his interview with the police officers, after waiving his rights, he told the police that while he was chasing the people who stole his car, he believed that one of the individuals made a gesture and was about to shoot him. That evidence was supported by the statements and the testimony of the witnesses at the preliminary exam, and we are very, very hopeful that justice will prevail on behalf of Mr. House.
What's going to happen today? Is this a status conference?
Today we're going to go in. The prosecution has made Mr. House a plea offer. So today we're going to go in. We're going to discuss where we are with the case, maybe set some deadlines for motions, and the judge may even decide to set a trial date here in this case. We don't know exactly what's going to go on. And with regards to the pictures and the videos that have been provided by the community, we don't know if the judge is going to allow that type of evidence to come in. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's true. It is true that Mr. House told the police that they believed that one of the individuals who was in the stolen vehicle made a gesture as if he was going to shoot him after hearing the individuals inside of the car say something with regards to shooting him. It is true that the witness who suffered injury in the terms of his property being damaged by the car these juveniles were driving, told the police during his initial interview that every one of the juveniles that got out of the car were armed with firearms. And so all we can do is litigate to the best of our ability and represent Mr. House and give him the best defense that we can provide. Everything else will come to terms when we get inside the courtroom.
Just to be clear, you don't anticipate taking a plea. Just from your statements today, that's what I gather. Is that correct?
So, with regards to plea negotiations, a lot comes into take, and I think right now that's a lot to ask of Mr. House, specifically when you have a case like this where an individual stands a chance to win a trial. Unfortunately, the risk, and a lot of times with these cases, is and the weight of what's going on can cause delay with those kind of decisions. Mr. House is a father, right, and a supportive father, always has been, and so there's a problem with him when he thinks about things like not being there for his family, because there's no second place in my profession, right? Either you win these things or people's lives are impacted forever.
Did Mr. House want to say anything today? Or
No, he's not answering any questions.